Good day, friends. You are watching Recapped Movie TV, and today we have a recap of the film The Mortuary Collection. A newspaper boy rides his bicycle into the mysterious town of Raven's End. At the end of his route, he notices that nobody collects newspapers near a creepy house. Curious, he rings the doorbell, peeks through the mail slot, takes a photo with his camera, and catches a glimpse of the eerie stare of an old man. While trying to retrieve his camera, which got stuck in the slot, the town mortician, Montgomery Dark, opens the door and greets him. The boy flees in fear, and Montgomery calls him back to return the camera, but the boy is too frightened to comply. Later that day, Montgomery delivers a eulogy at a child's funeral. After the burial, he notices a girl attempting to open the boy's grave and stops her, thinking she might not like what she'll find. The girl introduces herself as Sam and explains that she's applying for a job at the mortuary. Intrigued by Montgomery's extensive collection of books, he reveals they contain stories of his clients. Sam asks to hear a couple of stories, and Montgomery agrees. The first story is set in the 1950s at a party. Emma goes to the restroom to steal money from unsuspecting men's wallets. While discarding the wallets, she finds pocket watches and hides them in her bra. As Emma prepares to leave, she hears a knocking sound coming from a closet. Curiosity gets the better of her, and she attempts to open it using a nail file. Eventually, she unlocks the cabinet, but not without cutting her hand in the process. While tending to her wound, something closes the cabinet door. When she opens it again, she horrifyingly discovers the tentacles of a grotesque monster inside and hastily shuts it. Emma screams for help, trying to hold the door, but no one hears her. When the monster stops moving, she tries to sneak out of the room quietly, but her pocket watch falls out of her dress, the cabinet door opens, and the tentacles grab and pull her inside. "Well, I was expecting something more substantial," Sam remarks. She notes that it would have been better if there was an unexpected or cool twist. Montgomery assures her that he has more stories and then asks Sam to sign the paperwork formalizing her employment at the mortuary. Montgomery leads Sam to the foyer, where she sees several photographs of other people who worked in the house. As they reach the viewing room, Sam inquires about the deceased boy, but Montgomery believes some stories are too distressing to retell. Sam asks him to share another interesting case, and he narrates the next tale set in a university in the 1960s. Handsome fraternity guy named Jake sets up a booth on campus advocating for women's rights. He claims that the patriarchy has crumbled, and now women can sleep with anyone they want. Owner spots an attractive and shy girl walking to class. He offers her a condom, but Jake interrupts and tells Connor to distribute the condoms to the non-existent school across team. The girl, Sandra, notices that Jake doesn't seem like a freshman. Jake admits he's only here to hook up with girls. Jake is stunned when Sandra confesses that she's here for the same reason, and he invites her to his fraternity party. She agrees and heads to her classes, passing by a billboard with photos of missing boys. At the party, Jake takes Sandra straight to his room. While they kiss, Sandra warns him that she might be a serial killer. Then she pushes Jake onto the bed and undresses. Sandra hides something in her skirt and then crawls on top of Jake. She tells him she has a surprise for him, and when she reveals the item, Jake is disappointed to see it's a condom. Reluctantly, he puts it on. After a while, Jake asks Sandra to change positions during their intimate encounter. While Sandra isn't looking, Jake stealthily removes the condom and continues without her noticing. When Jake wakes up in the morning, Sandra is already gone. He finds she wrote her phone number on the mirror. He tries to erase it, but most of the digits are still visible. Jake suddenly feels something rumbling in his stomach and rushes to the bathroom, feeling nauseous. Shortly after, Connor comes in and notices a rash all over Jake's body, so he advises him to see a doctor at the clinic. Dr. Harold Kubler hears heartbeat and rumbling sounds in Jake's stomach, asks him to wait, and steps out of the room. Jake looks at his medical chart and is shocked to discover that he is pregnant. Back at the fraternity house, Jake takes a pill to terminate the pregnancy, but within minutes, he starts vomiting uncontrollably. Distraught, Jake decides to call Sandra when he notices his stomach is growing. He dials the wrong number several times because he accidentally erased the last digit. Finally getting through to Sandra, they arrange to meet. Jake attempts to leave the fraternity, but his frat brothers stop him to celebrate his 67th sexual encounter. The fraternity considers the number 67 sacred, symbolizing their 67 founders. As they carry him on a chair to hang his name on the fireplace, he goes into labor right on his fraternity brothers. Jake immediately goes to Sandra's house. Upon his arrival, Sandra's father, Ralph, groans in disappointment at the sight of Jake's stomach. His wife, Margaret, immediately calls Sandra and prepares for the delivery. When Sandra enters the room, Jake berates her for his pregnancy, but she points out that he should have used protection. Sandra leaves and calls another man to set up a date. As the fetus moves inside his abdomen, Jake asks Ralph how the baby is supposed to come out. Margaret explains that it will come out the same way it came in. Jake screams in pain as the baby makes its way out. Jake's blood splatters around the room as his genital organs explode and rupture his abdominal cavity. Margaret immediately retrieves the baby and carries it to the nursery. Horror-stricken, she carefully leaves the room but accidentally steps on a whistle toy. The room fills with cries as all the babies in there wake up. One of them raises its claws in the air. Sam is impressed with this tale as it contains all the elements of a good story. Then Montgomery leads Sam to the embalming room and shows her the body of a young woman. Sam notices that the woman appears flawless, but Montgomery points out that her upper palate contains traces of magnesium, indicating she was in a fixed state. Montgomery narrates the story of Carol Peters and Wendell Owens. During their wedding ceremony, Wendell looks happy as he places the ring on Carol's finger. As soon as the priest asks if he will love her until death do them part, darkness suddenly falls in the church. Carol begins to breathe heavily. Wendell wakes up from a nightmare and hears Carol coughing heavily. He goes to her room to check on her. Wendell sighs in despair, unable to do anything for his immobilized wife. One evening, Wendell returns from the grocery store. Mrs. Avery, Wendell's neighbor, notices his flooded groceries and boasts that she ate them during her cruise. While waiting for the elevator, Avery says that when her husband was alive, she could never travel, but after his death, she can go wherever she wants. When the elevator arrives, Avery gets in, but Wendell decides to take the stairs. Wendell prepares food for Carol, arranging vegetables, fish, and meat on a plate beautifully. Then he puts them in a blender to make it easier for her to digest. When Dr. Kubler examines Carol, he notes that her condition is stable. Wendell asks how much longer she will live, and the doctor informs him that Carol has about a year left. Wendell worries that he won't be able to sustain her life for another year due to the pills. Kubler decides to leave him some painkillers and hints that Carol may die if she takes too many pills. When Wendell doesn't catch the hint, Kubler explains that the substance leaves no trace and is impossible to detect if Carol takes too much that evening. Wendell dresses up for a candlelit dinner with Carol and gives her a rabbit figurine as a gift. He asks Carol to show a sign that she's conscious, but she just stares into space. In disappointment, Wendell slaps the table, and with her lack of response, he secretly mixes the pills into Carol's food and feeds her. When Carol suddenly grabs his hand, Wendell realizes that she can react, so he immediately removes her restraints and washes her stomach. Wendell feels relieved as she vomits, and her head falls onto the table. He lifts her head and discovers that she was impaled on the figurine. Wendell seeks help from Kubler, but Kubler simply tells him to dump Carol's body in the ocean. Wendell tries to place Carol's body in a wedding chest, but she doesn't fit, so he dismembers her. As he starts to cut off her head, she suddenly reaches for him and screams. Carol stops moving when Wendell removes the figurine from her head. Finally, Wendell manages to dismember the body and stuff it into the box. When he tries to place the box in the elevator, a man asks him to hold the door. Wendell refuses to wait and forcefully closes the door, trapping the man's hand. The elevator starts moving, but suddenly stops before reaching the first floor. As Wendell tries to open the doors, he manages to pry them open slightly. Suddenly, Mrs. Avery appears and suggests calling the police. Wendell stops her and says the elevator will probably start again soon, but Avery insists on calling the police anyway. As the elevator doors suddenly close, he notices blood dripping from the box containing Carol's body. Wendell tries to escape through the hatch but slips. In disappointment, Wendell tosses the wedding ring, and the chest with the bride suddenly unlocks. He attempts to open it, but the elevator starts moving down. The elevator continues descending, even reaching the first floor. Peering out the window, he sees himself and Carol, happily living together. The decomposing corpse of Carol suddenly emerges from the box and puts the wedding ring on him, then forces him to kiss her. When the elevator doors open, the police find Wendell sitting on the floor, reciting wedding vows while clutching his wedding album. Montgomery tells Sam that Wendell went insane and was placed in the Kirkdale Psychiatric Institution. Montgomery leads Sam down to the basement herself. She complains that his stories are predictable because they always involve people paying a terrible price for their sins. Montgomery emphasizes that it's a timeless message because no deed goes unpunished. When Montgomery pushes the coffin with the boy's body into the cremation chamber, Sam stops him and confesses that she never actually got the job. She reveals that she came to visit the boy, Logan, because she feels responsible for his death. Sam pleads with Montgomery to allow her to see the boy one last time, and he opens the coffin for her. Sam continues to tell the man about the night when Logan passed away. She was babysitting Logan, and while he was sleeping, she watched a horror movie called The Babysitter Murders. When she went to the kitchen, she found a message on the answering machine from Dr. Cooler and his wife Deborah. Dr. Cooler informed Sam that they would be coming home late, so he asked her to make sure Logan was asleep before hanging up. They told Sam to fix herself something to eat if she was hungry. After checking on Logan and turning on the radio, Sam starts preparing food. Meanwhile, a news report interrupts the movie, stating that there's a riot at the asylum, and the police advise residents to lock their doors as some inmates may have escaped. When Sam takes out the trash, she doesn't notice the broken window by the door. Upon returning to the house, she finds a man in the living room with a wound on his head. She decides to get a weapon from the kitchen and grabs a cleaver. However, the man is suddenly behind her. He appears harmless and disoriented. Sam decides to help him and cleans his wound. The man becomes anxious when the phone rings and the answering machine picks up the call. Deborah warns them to lock the doors because a psychopath has escaped from the asylum, known for mutilating children. Seeing his gaze drift towards Logan's toy, Sam pushes the man's hand into the meat grinder and spins the handle, mutilating his fingers. She then attempts to strike him, but he deflects it with a cutting board. At that moment, the phone rings again, and the man answers it. Sam continues to attack him while he yells into the phone, and Deborah is still on the line. Sam bites off his ear, but he manages to knock her down. The man goes into Logan's room, but the boy is not there. Sam hurries to the boy's room when she hears the man's screams. Sam attacks the man with a poker, and he throws books at her. The man manages to knock her down again and hits her several times before searching for Logan. Soon, the Kublers arrive, but they can't enter the house due to the latch lock on the door. The man starts choking Sam, but she pleads with him to let her go, saying that he's not a killer. The man stands up and tells her it's all over, but Sam pushes him down the stairs. The man loses consciousness, and Sam drops a TV on his head. When the Kublers enter the house, we realize that the man was Logan's babysitter. From the news, it becomes known that the escaped convict woman named Charlotte Gibbons, also known as the Tooth Fairy from God's Bay, is on the loose, and Deborah panics, unable to find Logan. They look in the oven and scream in horror, finding the remains of Logan. Montgomery asks Charlotte why she came to the morgue. She takes a tooth from the boy's remains and says she needs it for her collection. Charlotte stabs Montgomery with a knife to prevent him from telling her story. However, Montgomery laughs at her as embalming fluid leaks from his wound. He tells Charlotte that she got the job, but she runs away. In the end, Charlotte reaches the door, but upon going through it, she finds herself back inside the house again. Trying to escape from Montgomery, Charlotte finds herself in the library. When he catches up to her, he tells her that he used to be just like her. He thought he could escape the consequences of his actions until he stumbled upon this house. Montgomery strikes the floor several times with his cane, and a few books fall from the shelves. He says Charlotte would be surprised to learn how many stories in the library belong to her. Soon, the books open by themselves, and several dark spirits of children crawl out from the pages. When one of the spirits bites Charlotte, she drops her collection of teeth to the ground. Other spirits also start attacking her. After the girl dies, one of the spirits picks up a tooth from the ground and wears it. Gathering Charlotte's body back together, Montgomery leaves the house, and as he steps out onto the street, he breathes a sigh of relief, but soon crumbles into dust. Charlotte comes back to life inside the house and sees her grotesque face in the mirror. Soon becoming the new gravidigger, Charlotte tells the story to a journalist. When the boy tries to leave, she dissuades him, saying that she's going to prepare dinner for him.